Hi, I'm Beverly Welch here at the Arbor Gate in Tomball, Texas. I'm joined today by our dear friend Angela Chandler of the Garden Academy.
Good morning, Beverly.
Angela has a great concept that she's been teaching for us for many years. In fact, every January on our Fruit Culture Day, Angela does a presentation on high density home orchard management. Now, it doesn't matter how much space we have, right?
No, you can start with a patio size of 8 by 8 and still grow 4 fruit trees.
And even if I have 4 acres. This is a great concept to minimize maintenance and maximize production.
We are, and maximize the amount of varieties that we can have in our landscape.
Okay.
And another thing that's good for this is it's going to improve pollination because we're going to grow those pollinizing partners together.
Excellent, excellent. So we've already got these trees planted for you, Angela. You can just go to the video on how to plant a tree and get great instruction on how and the proper way to plant. So what do I do next?
Well, we have 2 options with containerized fruit trees. So let's discuss the first option. And that would be that if you bought these beautiful trees, they've already been pruned in the nursery to have a nice, well-spaced branches and a good head on them. So we would do some things like remove anything that looks like it, broken in transit or from us moving it around or that we might have done during planting. And then we're going to consider how tall do we really want these trees to be.
Right.
And it's maybe different for everybody.
Uh-huh.
I don't want to climb a ladder or have to drag a ladder out into the landscape every time I want to take care of a tree. And I know that I want to prune. I know that I want to be able to inspect to make sure my trees are healthy.
Right.
I know I need to thin fruit to have good quality fruit. And that's a stage a lot of people skip, especially when they think they have to spend a couple of hours on a ladder.
That's exactly right.
So we're going to keep these trees lower. I have seen these trees grown as low as waist height.
Really?
Amazingly, by people who have limits to their accessibility.
Sure.
And so they keep the trees down low. I have seen these trees grown to where standing flat-footed on the ground.
Right.
Somebody like me, average height about 5'4". I can raise my arms and I can manage a tree that's 6.5, 7 feet tall without having to climb on anything. So it may differ for everybody out there depending on what they're looking for. But anywhere from that about head height to what you can reach standing on the ground is a good height.
And we've planted them really basically 28 inches apart as well.
Yes, and they could be planted even closer. The recommendations are anything from 18-inch on center to 36 inches on center. And what we're going to eventually do is treat these as if they were one trunk.
Tree. Gotcha.
And then the top is all going to grow together, and from the distance it'll have the appearance of being one tree.
How gorgeous when it blooms.
They're beautiful, especially if you have varying shades of pink in the combination.
Yes.
And then, we're going to add something that has a little bit of foliage color, it'll be even prettier. So at that decision, I know that I need to create a lot of fruiting wood the first year.
Okay.
So that I can make sure I've got good fruiting wood and that it's nice and full and it gives me options for my next dormant pruning. So even though I can maintain this height right now, I want this to flush out. And I see that we've maybe rubbed against another tree, so I'm going to come down here and I'm going to take this branch completely out. And by the way, rabbits love to chew on that if you raise rabbits. So now we have this, and that's a pretty good height for me.
Right.
And I'm going to take that height and I'm going to bring the rest of this tree down to that. So I'm going to do tip pruning. And what this tip pruning does for us is it is going to stimulate the growth hormone of this plant to come down into these lateral buds and stimulate growth there.
Okay.
I'm going to remove this one because it's crossing on its neighbor. We have to be good neighbors.
Yes, we do. Especially when we live this close.
Exactly. We live very close here. And you'll notice that I'm making these cuts at a 45 degree so that water will shed off of them. And I'm also making some decisions about where the branches I'm leaving are going to go.
Okay.
For the first year, we know that these trees are going to stay a little small, so we don't have to worry too much about them growing in on each other. And even though this has this leafy green, I want to stimulate all that growth hormone, so I am going to prune it to an outward facing bud right here. But this is all this little tree needs now to stimulate a lot of growth down here in the tree. We hope even that it may put out some branches even lower. And what we're looking for here is a good structural framework that will allow us to have a tree that will flush back out of growth, and then we're going to tip that new flush back. It'll flush out even one more time, and we'll tip that back until we have a tree that's nice and full, lots of good fruit wood, but we can reach it from the ground.
Perfect, perfect. Now we don't have to be concerned at some of these pruning stages if we are pruning branches that have flower buds or small fruit, because we want to be selective on the fruit that we keep.
We do want to be selective. Fruit trees will set literally thousands of buds. And even in nature, only a few hundred of those buds are actually going to end up producing fruit.
Okay.
And we would even like to thin it more than that. We want 6 or 8 inches of free space around every fruit so that the fruit has a chance to develop to its full size and flavor. What we're looking for here is fewer perfect fruit rather than lots and lots of small fruit.
Right.
Think in the matter of peach, if that peach is small, there's more pit and less flesh.
That's
so
true.
what we want is a big, beautiful peach. The pit's the same size, but we have more flesh.
Perfect. All right, now we've tip pruned them, got them to our height where we want to be. But for those that aren't too faint of heart, there's even another method for this, right?
There is, Beverly. For a container-grown tree, this will get you started onto a good tree.
Okay.
But if you would like to have even lower branching,
Okay.
a very low, very full head of a tree, there is a way for us to get that done. And it does kind of scare people the first time, but I promise you the results are worth it.
All right.
When I first plant trees, as long as they're about 3/4 inch caliper and less,
Okay.
the very first thing I do is put my knee up against them so I know I have about 16 or 18 inches of height.
Right.
Then I'm going to put my loppers at that point, and I am going to cut the entire top of this tree out. And for a lot of people, they think, oh my gosh, I just paid for the tree and you just took 2/3 of the value out, but we haven't. What's going to happen now is that all of these trees have dormant buds on the trunk.
All right.
Making that cut is going to stimulate those dormant buds to grow. They're going to grow so fast, that's the really intimidating part, is that
Right.
within the matter of 3 to 4 months, that will be a 7-foot tall tree.
No way.
Oh yes, they can see the pictures on the blog.
That's
It is
wonderful.
amazing. So after making that cut and that new growth flushes at about 6.5, maybe 7 feet of height, we're going to take that very beautiful new growth and we're actually going to cut that down by about half.
Okay.
So if it has flushed out about 7 feet, taking our 18 inches away from that, we're going to end up cutting about 30 additional inches out of it.
Okay.
We're going to let it flush back out again, and sometime in late summer, we're going to reduce that additional new growth by about half.
So what's our timeline again?
So what we're looking for is, at planting during the dormant season only,
All right.
we're going to take this tree down to about 16 to 18 inches.
Okay.
Then in the first big flush of growth, what we would call our late spring, April, May, we're going to cut that flush of growth down by about half.
Okay.
Late summer, which for us could be into September,
Right.
we're going to do one more cutting.
Okay.
It does tend to reduce the amount of dormant pruning that we'll have to do the following season, but the main reason we're going to do it is that trees in the late summer are now storing carbohydrate energy in their roots, so they have enough energy to push bloom and leaf
Right.
for the following spring. And we're going to kind of try to control the vigor of these trees by reducing that canopy later in the season.
Perfect. Perfect.
It seems a little radical, but it'll really give you a lot of
I love it.
payback.
Let's go for it.
All right, let's prune the rest of these.
All right.
Now, this one has a branch right at the right height. So we're going to take it back.
Okay.
This one has good, healthy buds on it. Take it back. And even though this has a good branch here, I'm going to remove it down to our 18 inches at a slight angle. And we're going to leave this bud. We may, it may put buds up here for us later, but we're going to leave that one just to So we have a decision
later. And be sure
later.
to move your tags down so you don't lose the name of your
Be sure to
trees.
move the tags down. You don't want to lose the variety of your trees. And it is a good idea to make an orchard map so that you know where everything is.
Especially here.
Especially here. Hurricanes do remove labels every once in a while.
Well, this is wonderful. I cannot wait to see the finished result over the next year and pick those wonderful peaches.
It's going to be exciting. And you can do it standing flat-footed on the ground.
Love it. Love it. Thank you so much, Angela.
Oh, it was enjoyable. Thank you.